Hi, I'm Robben Ford, and we're doing a masterclass for Guitar Part magazine. I'm going to play a song for you from my new record. The record is called Into the Sun, and this is the first song on the record called Rose of Sharon. It's played on the acoustic guitar, but we're using the electric here today. Goes something like this. I lead with my left, you lead with your right. The dust finally settles, you're clean out of sight. Rose of Sharon, why don't you come on? Why don't you come on home? I come here with water, your world is on fire. I met when the smoke clears, with the screech of your tires. Rose of Sharon, why don't you come on? Why don't you come on home? Your mother's light, your father's pride, provide you a place where you can hide. Rose of Sharon, why don't you come on? Why don't you come on home? So that's Rose of Sharon. It's the opening track on my new CD, Into the Sun. And it started with this guitar riff, as you might have imagined. So I'm starting with this little sus chord, like that chord, which is actually the opening chord to It's Been a Hard Day's Night, right? So I'm just playing those three notes of the chord. I use my thumb a lot, which a lot of people are not quite into. They're more into the bar chord thing, or however. But this is the way I get most of my bass notes, is using my thumb. So I play the opening, and then hit the open B string, and then the open G string. Now this is like a 9 chord. But I'm playing only these two notes with the G in the root. And I kind of give it a little pull there, you know? And then just hit the fifths on top and keep this going in the bass with my thumb, right? So that's the riff to the song, and I was pretty proud of that, you know, to find ways of using open and closed strings to, you know, off of each other. And it gives that open fifth sound. Like these are fifths, right? That's a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's the open D string. And then G again, same note. D again. G on top. And so from there, the song goes to a B7, and the melody goes, Rose of Sharon. So I play those two notes on the top there. It's another, just kind of like a little gift of the song in a way. Whoops, that's the riff. With the screechy old tires, Rose of Sharon, to E minor. Walks down to E flat major 7, and then basically the next chord is C9, and I have a G in the root. And it just gives it a little more weight. I played it once, I think, with the C, and I didn't like it. Why don't you come on? The electric bass, or the acoustic bass actually in this case, plays the C on the record, but the guitar plays that chord, which is just got a good sound to it. It's deep sounding, you know, it's low, so it kind of resonates in a low way, which is a nice part of the feeling of the song, this low thing. So, why don't you come on? And then I use, it's a B flat 6, C6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hence C6. Major third here, root here, the 6th degree there. Why don't you come on home? And then back to this thing. And you know, just letting the chord ring and hearing that bass note, there's space in there, and there's a mood in there, you know. So it's a little thing that some people don't necessarily pick up on right away, but it's one of these kind of subtle aspects of music where you use space. So I'm using space there. It's a deliberate act to not play anything, and yet you still hear the doom, doom. So the mood, the vibe, the rhythm of the song stays, right? Let that note, those notes ring out on the top there, you know. So these are the things that for me make music interesting, make music beautiful, make music a journey, you know. So I thought about, what am I going to play? Now, you know, the song was the important thing for me. So what am I going to do for the solo? You know, should there even be a solo? You know, I wasn't sure I wanted to play a solo. But being a guitar player, I thought I have to do something. So I basically just put together this series of chords. And on the record, I do improvise over it. But it didn't need it. I thought about that. You know, I like the chords so much. And there's a little melody that's being played with these chords. A very little melody, but nonetheless, a melody. And so... first few chords there. So it's going. So that's what I'm hearing when I'm playing those chords. They're not just chords to me, you know. I'm hearing this lovely melody just floating over the top, you know. And there's obviously a pattern that's developed. It's chord up a whole step, chord up a whole step. My first instinct was to do that, but that just fell flat for me. It's like, well, I don't really want to hear that again, you know? It worked great twice. So that worked. Then to the B flat. So the pattern's still there, but I just kind of opened it up and elaborated on it a little bit. And it's the lead note that's directing me to the next chord. It's the melody that I'm hearing that's directing me from chord to chord. So that's the same movement that happened here. Right? So there's this consistency in the way the chords move. So it just kind of opens up and blossoms a little further, right? This is the beauty of learning chords, you know. Anybody can learn these chords. I learned all these chords out of a book, you know, just like most others, unless you go to school. If you're teaching yourself, which I did, you learn these chords out of a book, man. You get a book and you learn the chords. Finger, string, chord. Boom. You know the chord now. What you do with it is, you know, of course, the next step. And for me, it's melodies. It's the melody that's taking me to the next chord, you know? So it could have been, right? Ugh. Ugh. Beautiful chord, wrong application. But I know the chord, and I can try the chord. If you don't know the chord, then you can't even try the chord. So you want to learn all these basic jazz chord, you know, variations, you know, and there really aren't a lot of them. People think there are like hundreds of chords. There's like 15 chords, man. It's really not a lot of chords to do what I do. You just learn how to use them all over the neck of the guitar, and again, it's the melody that takes you from chord to chord. So it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel, you know. You hit the note you want to hear, try that chord, and if you like it, it sticks. If you don't like it, try a different chord with that note, you know. You know, I mean, like, there are a lot of inversions that you can use for that one note. You have a whole bunch of things you can do. And that's how I write. I sit, I have a melody in mind, or, you know, a basic thing, something established like this. You know, that started with the riff. So where do you go from there, you know? You know, my ear is taking me to the next place, you know? So there's a note, there's a melody, there's a chord, and there's a feeling. And you need to put those two things together, you know, the harmonic thing, the chord, you know, the melody, those three things, the chord, the melody, and the feeling, you know. And the melody and the chord will give you the feeling. If I play C major 7, that isn't, right? I mean, they're very different chords with very different feelings and very different sound. But that's the good news, you know. That's how you move to the next thing, is how does that feel there, you know? How does it sound there? How does it feel there? And honestly, just learn chords. Learn chords, and it will open up the entire world of music to you. So I hope you learned something from our little master class here. I want to thank Guitar Part for having me. And as I say, that was the first song from my new CD called Into the Sun. And this is the promotional copy that's not for sale, so you can't have this one. But there's a lot of other ones. So I hope you enjoy the new record. I'm very proud of it. And thanks again.